Art. What does it mean to me? Well, to me, art is something that's very profound. It's something very important to me, and overall, it's something that I really respect a lot. I respect art in a huge way, and I respect art as an adult in such a different way than I respected it as a kid. Now, I began drawing at a pretty young age. I started to draw around 9 or 10, and I know that most people drew at around that age, they would just doodle, but that's when I started paying attention to things like design and color theory and wanting to actually know like how professionals did their job. And so when I first started to learn how to draw, I had this manual for Pokemon. It was one of the guidebooks. And in the back of it, unlike some of them, it had the actual artworks made for each of the Pokemon. It was the Emerald version of the game. And so what I started to do is I started to freehand all of the Pokemon in there. And that's how I started to learn how to draw. I didn't trace, I didn't really start to go through tutorials. I just started freehanding Pokemon in my spare time. And slowly it started to become kind of the thing I did. Like I just would draw and I would draw, I would draw. I've been drawing for such a long time now that I can't even count the amount of drawings I've done. More importantly, how much copy paper I have been through in my life trying to just get the perfect drawing from the age of 10 to the age of like 15. I mostly used copy paper as my art material. And let me tell you, my parents were not very thrilled that I used whole, like, what are they called? Like binders or whole stacks, whole reams of copy paper. That's the way I was trying to say it. Whole reams of copy paper I would end up using to just redraw something a million times until I felt like, for instance, what is that bird in Emerald? It's like the Indian looking bird, but it starts off small. It's like Nadu or something like that. Put it on the screen. But it's the bird that is basically a perfect circle with a beak and a tail feather. And I took so many attempts to draw it. It was crazy. Let me tell you something. I never felt so, just trying to make a perfect circle was such a big deal to me that you couldn't even imagine just how many times I slowly just went over that drawing over and over again. But I digress. So art was there for me for a very long time. And a big reason for that was that I was a very lonely child. I moved a lot, and my parents really didn't give me much reason for why we moved a lot. We just did. We went from Colorado to California several times, and because of that and undiagnosed anxiety disorder, I had a really hard time making friends. Honestly, I didn't make my first friend until high school, who is now my best friend. But until then, all I had was art. Art was my escape. Art was the thing that made me feel special or made me just feel like I had a world all of my own. I don't know how many people really feel that way, but for me, it was something so incredibly important to have. So I just drew. I was drawing all the time. I drew when I was sad. I drew when I was angry. I drew when I was super happy. I mean, drawing was just a huge piece of my life. And, the inspiration started to trickle a little bit once I hit high school. Once I had a friend and I started being a little more social in life, it did kind of hit a stand there. It kind of plateaued, if you will. I didn't really get better necessarily. I kind of just messed around a lot, and it was still a passion. I still knew that in the future I wanted to pursue art as a career. I still don't think I'm at the level where I could call it a career. I definitely don't make money off of this, but it is something I really enjoy to do, and that's kind of what I care about. But I still had a lot of really good times drawing in high school, and some of my favorite drawings are from high school. But as I got older into adulthood, that's when things really started to trickle down. I had whole years recently where I haven't drawn. I probably just started up drawing in the last few months for this YouTube channel, and it's probably been at least a year, if not two, from just not drawing at all. Like, I just didn't practice I didn't go through my fundamentals. I didn't really draw at all. I didn't even draw fan stuff, like stuff that I really like to do. I just kind of stuck in my own little world, just doing other things. And, as an adult, things like that happen. I get that. I have bills to pay. I have a full-time job. I got to have responsibilities. I have a dog that I have to take care of. But I felt so empty not having art in that time frame. I definitely felt really empty. And now I have a really long way to go to make up what I should have been doing this entire time. And I know that I say should have been doing, but I know a lot of people will say, "Hey, you don't have to draw." But for me, it is something that I have to do. And the reason for that is just I feel so strongly about it. It's like I don't know what I can do if I don't draw. And it's not that I don't think I have no talents besides art. It's just that art is what makes me happy. Art's what really puts life into perspective for me, and it makes me understand other people's culture so much better when I draw. So it's just such an important piece of my life that I could never imagine going without it. Now, I do think that at this point in my life, I think that there are alternatives to drawing for sure. I think that there are other career paths to take, but this is something that I feel like if I don't at least take the chance on it, I will never understand what it is to be someone who tries to go for something that they really want to do. And I feel like that's kind of more important at the moment than really thinking of a plan B or C or D, but just trying for something and practicing every day and learning more of perspective and character design and backgrounds and foregrounds and color theory and just how to render something properly and make it look good, and knowing that coloring and shading has so much to do with the final outcome of a piece of art. And I have a long way to go, and I probably could have used those couple of years not drawing, honestly doing all the things that I'm saying I want to do now. But now that I have that fire, and now that I am doing it, I find it so more important now than ever to be able to reflect on my old art and see where I can take it now. And I feel like there's still a lot of things to do and a lot of places to grow, but I feel like now that I'm more aware of them, it's going to be such an easier process for me to get through. Art has always been there in the end. Art has always been something that I've always aspired to be or really noticed in the world. When a new cartoon came out, when a new animated thing came out, when a new animated movie came out, like when Into the Spider-Verse came out, I lost my mind. And it's not just because I love Spider-Man, it was just because of the amazing things they did with the animation. And I've been following so many more art channels that it's so crazy to me that I wasn't doing before. I was watching all the classic gaming YouTubers and commentary YouTubers, but being able to just look at other people's art and analyze it and see the things that you like about it and things that you want to improve on your own art because you're looking at it. Like right now, I probably think that my favorite YouTube channel at the moment is probably ABD Illustrates. If you've never checked it out, I suggest you check it out. I really love this guy's style. It's so much fun. He does a lot of speed paints. He will do some live streams. I think that his work is really sweet though. It has this bouncy tone to it and warm colors that really just shine through. And he likes making comics. And I don't think that that's such a bad thing, It's so nice and refreshing to just see this fun, lively art style of his and being able to see him do challenges and other things like that. It's just so refreshing to be able to see other people's art in such a new light. And there's other channels as well. My other biggest channel that I suggest is Chala. Chala is a great one. One of my favorite series is definitely when he does his Fiverr videos. Basically, he pays for dirt cheap to make people's art within an hour to 3 hours, and it's just one of my favorite series to watch. He's definitely someone to check out. And as much as I want to be able to draw like them, I also understand that art is subjective to the point where I need to just get to a place where I'm happy with my art. I think that's kind of the most important part. I feel like I'm improving on a lot of things. I feel like I'm improving straight away on my anatomy and some of the positioning that I do to try to make more dynamic posing. But, things like coloring and shading and getting just the right amounts of highlights in a person or character really has me falling flat. And I feel like there's other things to just really hold me back in the end. But I think that art is an amazing thing. And I feel like if people want to draw, then draw. If you feel like you're not good, don't. Because at the end of the day, you have your own style, you have your own purpose, and you have your own will to draw something. And you shouldn't let anything stop you from doing that. Because at the end of the day, you drawing, if it makes you happy, it's way more important than if you think you're worse or better than another person, because they're not you and you are not them. They draw differently. They think of anatomy completely differently. Like ABD illustrates, half the time I watch him do things, he'll draw the face and then he'll just sketch out the body almost completely without doing a skeleton. Other people will do a full skeleton and then they'll add the body on top of it to make a more dynamic pose by just having a reference underneath to go by. Everyone does things differently, likes different influences, likes different styles. Like, you can't compare yourself to another person because it's not objective enough to honestly say that you are worse than someone else. There are things about an artist that you can really like more than your own style. Integrate it in there. There's nothing stopping you from trying to integrate other people's styles into yours, because eventually that's just going to make your style more dynamic. And I'm not saying take the entire way someone draws. Take a feature. Do you like the way they shape the face? Do things like that. If you like the line quality, follow that. It's just about determining what you actually like about a piece and determining what you want to take from it and adding it to your own self. And I think that's an important lesson to learn for me as well. It's just, as I slowly develop into my own style, I just need to take lessons from other artists and put it into my own work. And that's why I don't think I'll ever get bored of art, or why I still draw, is the fact that I will always find things about someone else's art that I eventually want to put into my own art. And I think that's always going to make you interested in what you draw, because your art will always evolve and your art will always change. And that's never a bad thing. Never think that your art is perfect, because once you think your art is perfect, there's nowhere to go and you'll eventually get bored of it. But if it's an ever evolving substance for you, then you're always going to find a reason to find a new love for it. And I feel like that's going to make it a lot less taxing to want to do it. And now that I've realized something like that, I'm never probably going to stop drawing, ever. Even if it doesn't become my career, I will never stop drawing and I will never stop trying. And I feel like a lot of people can learn that lesson and take from it and just try to apply it to themselves, because at the end of the day, this is what I want to do. Honestly, I'm going to keep making YouTube videos. I'm going to try to post them a lot more often than I have recently, because I had to take a break due to personal reasons. Mostly I got a puppy and then the puppy got sick. So that's kind of why I ended up in this situation. But for the most part, I'm going to keep drawing. I'm going to keep showing how my process, and hopefully by the end of this year, you're going to see me change so much as an artist. And that's going to be a journey that you guys are going to take with me. I want to be able to see the comments and see everybody just know that they like the art that I'm making. And even if you don't like the art, just seeing how much I've improved from point A to point B. And that's going to be a journey that I think everybody is going to be interested in to some extent, hopefully. But if you guys really like the video, I hope you guys do like it, and I hope you guys want to subscribe. And if you want to subscribe, that would mean the world to me. It helps me out. It lets me know that, what I'm doing isn't just for me, it's for other people, which is always a nice feeling. And I feel like at the end of the day, I just want to make some people happy. I think that that's the only goal I have with my art, is that at the end of the day, whatever I draw, eventually it gets to the point where other people start to get some sort of emotion out of it. I think that if someone were to feel from my art, that would be the greatest achievement I could possibly have with my art. And I think that's going to be my goal by the end of the year, is just to make pieces that people will either just respond to or really feel like that they have something to look at when they're looking at my art. Because when I look at my art, I get so happy because I made it, you know? But I want other people to be able to look at my art and think to themselves, wow, this is a great piece, or, you know, I really like this. This is so cool, or just some sort of feeling of excitement or happiness from it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.